let's bring Mike Conti in from 92.9 FM, The Game in Atlanta, the Falcons radio network. He's here on the Boardwalk on the Hotline on the Sports Bash. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Atlanta and Philadelphia, sports worlds colliding all week, I guess.
Yes. Well, I know 7 at the end of the month for the Phillies and the Braves, but this one tomorrow night. And everything has been Eagles up in this area, like they exist in a vacuum or something. But there are other teams, and one of them is Atlanta, that really feels like they were within fingertips of beating the Eagles last year. So give us the skinny on this Atlanta team and their focus coming back and getting the Eagles on opening night.
You know, strangely, I think they're very confident because, like you said, they feel like they were a play away from winning that divisional playoff game against the Eagles last year. And in reality, that's true. I mean, they had the ball on the 2-yard line, a fourth down play. Julio Jones falls down, incomplete pass. I think the Falcons really feel like had they won that game, it would have been the Falcons beating the Patriots up in Minnesota, not the Eagles. And that, of course, can be debated. But you know, what the Falcons did this summer was basically try to make a strong team a little bit stronger. They weren't overly active in free agency. They were more active in spending money on their existing players. They gave Matt Ryan a big money contract extension. They locked up Ricardo Allen, who's been a very good free safety for them. They at least restructured Julio a little bit to keep him happy for another year. So they didn't have a lot of cap space to go out and be spenders. They really feel like with another year of maturation, a defense that had climbed into the top 10 in the NFL last year defensively with a lot of young players is going to be better this year in 2018.
Yeah, Mike, that game last year, it's cold, it's windy, it's not the best atmosphere. Tomorrow night you're going to have a hot, pretty, warm temperatures up there at the Link. But if you were to say one area of this Falcons team has drastically improved or changed, what area would that be?
Oh, boy. Again, keeping in mind that they didn't really go out and spend much money in the offseason, I think maybe the offensive line a little. I mean, they went out and they got Brandon Fusco, who was the starting right guard for Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco last year. They bring him in here to solidify the one position on the offensive line where they really did have some trouble giving up pressure in 2017. Fusco went out and won the job over Wes Schweitzer in the preseason. Not a flashy, not a big money signing, but I think that is an area in which the Falcons will be better in 2018, giving up a little less pressure up the middle, which should also help them run the ball better. But again, this is basically the same team that the Eagles saw in 2017. There's been a lot of talk down here. Oh, the Eagles have changed. The Falcons have changed a lot in the span of 9 months. In reality, the Falcons haven't changed. They're just a year more experienced. And that defense that came into the Link last year for the playoff game, a lot of third- and second-year players. Now it's a lot of fourth- and third-year players. That's a difference. It's not necessarily the personnel that's changed. They're just a little more seasoned.
Mike Conti is with us here at 92.9, The Game in Atlanta, the Falcons radio network. How many more runs does this Falcons group think they have? The Ryan, Jones, Freeman core?
Question they've been getting a lot, and I think the one answer that they universally give is that they don't feel like they're in a win-now window. They don't feel like their window is closing. Matt Ryan, this is going to be his 11th year in the league. That's probably a little more than halfway. You would expect to retirement. The one thing about Matt is he's never really gotten hurt ever in his career, at least not a substantial injury that's cost him a ton of time. I think their problem in the offseason is kind of this coming offseason, 2019, is going to be something that the Seahawks have been dealing with, where they drafted a lot of really good young defensive players in the third and fourth round, and there's not going to be enough money to go around for all of them. So I think in some respects, and this is me answering this, not the team, I think in some respects the window might be starting to close a little bit. But as long as you have Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, are going to have a chance. And, Julio's under contract for 3 more years. Matt Ryan is under contract basically forever now. So they're going to have a chance as long as those two are here and stay healthy.
Mike, did the Falcons anticipate Wentz being ready for this game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they say publicly that, we would be ready for Foles or for Wentz, but I think the general feeling here in Atlanta has been, Wentz hasn't been cleared to play. Wentz didn't play at all in the preseason. There's no way they're going to throw him out there with no time in training camp to play week 1. Honestly, I think there's a debate down here among listeners on our radio station. Who would you rather play, Foles or Wentz? I mean, Foles did beat them in the playoff game last year, but it wasn't necessarily anything that Foles did. It was the Eagles' defense that did a really good job getting off the field on third down. The Eagles turned it over twice offensively in that game. They were held to 15 points. I think the Falcons knew all along that it would be Foles. I don't know if there's a whole lot to extrapolate from the preseason for Dan Quinn to game plan, but I think they were pretty confident getting on the plane today, going up to Philadelphia. They've known for about a week that it was going to be Foles.
We'll leave you with this. Mike Conti's with us from the Falcons Radio Network. When the Falcons saw this game on the schedule to kick it off, were they like, this is exactly what we want, or is this a tough spot for them?
They haven't talked about that publicly, so I'd be speculating on what they think. I'll just say from my perspective, I grew up in Philadelphia, guys. I'm a big Eagles fan. I've been in Philadelphia probably 4 or 5 times since the Super Bowl. I know how people feel up there. I know how people are talking. From a Falcons perspective, I'd rather get them tomorrow night. I really mean that because I think all the pressure is on the Eagles. There's going to be a ton of emotion in the link with the unveiling of the banner. Maybe things will be just a little too keyed up. The Eagles obviously did not look at it at all in the preseason. I know there's been some discussion that they've been getting a little bit fat off all the praise that they got post-Super Bowl. This feels like a pretty good spot for the Falcons, believe it or not, if they can weather that early surge of emotion. It's going to be a very interesting game tomorrow.
No doubt. Mike Conti, 92.9, Atlanta Falcons Radio Network here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline, 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys, take it easy.